welcome to the Cabinet Maker Profit System podcast. Today, we're going to be talking to Katie Smith about marketing. Now, before you think about this episode too much, I want you to think about the fact that we all need marketing, whether you know it or not. You need to be attracting the right kind of clients. And Katie and I are going to pick this whole thing apart. Now, I want you guys to remember as well that you asked me to stop doing the dad joke. So I can't tell you the Montana joke, but where a Montana school teacher asked the kids, what is Montana's official bird? And one of the little girls in the back of the class put up her hand and said, mosquitoes. Yeah. Hey, listen, the other thing we're going to be talking about in this episode a lot is your ideal client, which comes back to the end of job report, which you know that I'm a big fan of because I want to keep you profitable in your company. So if you need that end of job report, before you do that, you've got to do another exercise first. And that is figuring out your ideal customer. If you want a copy of the ideal customer exercise, it's a professional development tool. Just send me a text message and say ideal customer exercise. My cell phone number is 315-903-7853. Let's get to the episode. Katie Smith, great to have you here. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's really nice to be here. I'm excited for this conversation today.
Yeah, it looks sunny where you are, or you're really well lit, one of the two.
It is sunny for the moment. I am just outside of Bozeman, Montana, so
Oh,
don't like the weather. Wait a minute, this time of year.
right. But Bozeman, Montana is nice because heaven's just a local call.
That's true.
Isn't
That's
that true?
true.
Yeah, that is so true. It's such a pretty place. Um, hey, Katie, people might not know who you are, and we're here to talk about marketing. Let me start with that. And some people are listening, going, "Well, I'm just going to skip this episode because I don't need marketing." But I think they're going to be in for a surprise because they're going to learn something they didn't expect. But let me ask this, Katie Smith, who the heck are you? And how is it you come to be speaking to all these forward-facing contractors? My voice is going to go all over the world.
Well, you know, I if you had told me that I would be sitting here talking to you, talking to people about marketing, I would have thought you were crazy. I was an outdoor girl, an outdoor studies person. I really
Mm,
thought that I would be involved in maybe park service, forest service, that kind of work. And I spent
cool
my,
stuff.
yeah, spent my 20s as a guide in the wilderness.
What kind of guide?
Outdoor, I was hiking guide. Mostly in the wintertime, I did backcountry, cross-country ski trips, and
So
then
cool.
summertime, horseback riding trips into Yellowstone. So,
Oh,
yeah,
very cool.
a little bit of rock climbing, but all of that involved communication. And I take most of what I've learned from guiding into my marketing approach, right?
Mm.
So think about this. Like, I'm the lead guide on a horse, right? And I am never faced forward in my saddle. I'm always turned to the side so that
Oh,
I can see what's going on in front of me. Is there a bear that I need to look out for? Is there a fallen tree? What's the weather coming in towards us? What
right.
decisions do I need to make? And then I'm also looking behind me. How are my clients doing? Are they following along? Are they having fun? Are they having trouble with their horses?
Mm,
What do I need to do? I'm always looking around me, and so I can be really reactive to what's going on, but
sure.
still make the whole process smooth. And so that's really like the approach that I take. Now, marketing is just communication, right?
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with guiding. It's a lot of communication. And so that's my approach. And I think that maybe is why I'm sitting here talking to you today. It's a different approach and it's very hands-on. I work a lot with manufacturing because those are my people,
That's perfect. Yeah,
ultimately.
this is manufacturing, and a lot of people don't think about marketing because we don't come from a marketing background. It's the last thing on our minds. We're good with our hands. We love the smell of cut wood. We like to make things and fix things, and we don't think about marketing.
I know. Well, you're artists and marketing can be an art.
Mm,
But right, you got into the business because you like that hands-on work.
right.
You like building, creating beautiful things. And then all of a sudden you have to do this business stuff, which, maybe is not so much fun. And I think the biggest problem, marketers have a marketing problem
Oh,
because so much of it is, marketers will market their thing and
right,
they make it feel like you have to do this if you are going to succeed because they're good at
yeah,
what they do.
right.
But it's not the truth. I think what happens is we distill marketing down to the loudest voice. And so we get confused about what really is marketing at all.
Mm,
And how does this even help me? This person is talking to me. They're not talking about my business. They're talking about something that has nothing to do with cabinetry, with building. Why do I need this? It's confusing. I
sure.
think that's maybe where we kind of have the bad rap in the marketing world.
Yeah, I know that people often say to me, and especially in the conversations that we have, because it's about business building, people are like, we don't need to market. People just call us. It's word of mouth. But I would challenge those same people to say, we all get junk mail. And it's easy to say junk mail doesn't work until you need new tires and that flyer comes in the mail that's all about tires. And you're like, well, maybe I'll have a look at that flyer. At least you're looking at it. But you didn't know this. They've been mailing to you every week for a year and you didn't pay any attention to it until you needed tires or until you needed lawn care or whatever, whatever it is. But then suddenly it's there. That's marketing. You just have to be there with in front of the right people.
Yeah, I like to think of it as a service, right? How can we make marketing a service to our customers to help them out in their lives? But that's what we're doing, with the work that we do. You're building things that are going to be useful and helpful to people.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you consider your marketing an extension of that being useful and helpful, I'm going to show up for you, and I'm going to be there when you need me. I think that is a better way to look at it. Like I think about it, I'm your guide. I am your guide through the wilderness of marketing.
Right.
We're going to figure out which marketing is going to work the best for you where you're at in your business. You don't need it all. I mean, I think there's maybe some misunderstanding of what marketing really is or how to think about it.
Well, what is marketing? Let's start there because maybe some people are confused because marketing's not sales. It's not the same thing.
No, it's not
Mm,
sales, and it's not just advertising. It's not just your brand, your branding. Everyone says you got to get a logo, you got to get a website. Those are pieces. And marketing works hand in hand with sales, but it's not sales. So I like to start to think about marketing as all the ways that you are communicating with your
mm,
customer. So that's at the beginning stage, maybe like those flyers that you put out there.
yeah.
You're just going to be there for when they need you, when they start to discover. And then when they're starting to do the research, is this the kind of cabinetry that I need? Will this fit in my home or my business or the project that I'm working on? You're
Hmm.
there to help guide them through that process. And then that's where we kind of shake hands with sales and hand off, hopefully, if marketing has done a good job, a well-educated, more ready to make a decision candidate for sales. So they
Mm,
can spend their time not just like somebody who's kicking tires or
yeah.
we get there and then marketing comes back in afterwards to make sure that the delivery goes well, that the communication, everything is happening so that you're just kind of gifting your customer no stress.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of pieces of it, but it's communication.
It it's so much about communication, and I want to make sure we touch on the fact that we have to communicate to the right people. For instance, people that listen to this show are cabinet makers and architectural mill workers. Well, you have to have a certain amount of money to buy custom kitchen cabinets, and you have to have more of that money to buy architectural millwork. That's another level of cabinetry, right? So there's no use. Let's keep using my direct mail example because it's a bad example, but it is one real example. Direct mail doesn't not work, but there's no use sending that direct mail to a neighborhood full of people that rent their homes,
Hmm.
right?
Yes.
That's just a waste. And then, of course, you're going to say, well, I tried advertising, which is what you and I would hear, and it didn't work. It was a waste of money and time. You look at the big smile on your face. It's true, right? You have to aim at the right people. How would you walk me through making sure I was marketing to the right customer?
Yeah, so that's where we start. I have a whole process. I call it like the brand architecture, but It's really just laying out who you are as a brand, as a person, and then who you work with
Hmm.
and what that looks like. And what that does, anytime we hear like a good idea or we think something is good, if we don't have something to check that to see is it real? Will it really work? It's easy to just get wrapped up in things that don't work. So the key cornerstone of that is your ideal customer, your customer profile, a million words for it, but it's who do you really want to work with? And
Right.
then I also think who do we not want to work with? So there's a lot of different ways to start. I mean, there's demographic research, so you need to understand, what's the building, what kind of building is happening in your area where you work? Is it new homes? Is it renovations? Who's in your area? Who's doing that? Is it the homeowner that's contacting you? Is the homeowner your person, or is it the contractor who's
Right.
building, or is it the architect who's designing? Maybe it's all three, but they have different needs and wants. And that's what you have to identify. And you can't talk to them all at the same time with the same
No.
message. That's where
Yeah.
we get confused. I think so. One of my clients is a metal manufacturer, metal roofing and siding.
Hmm.
Work a lot in those high-end areas around Bozeman, Big Sky. And right away, we decided we're not doing homeowners. Those projects are too small,
Right.
too much work for not enough payout. But we have the owners of this company have all been contractors themselves, or they've worked in the industry for years. And so we can talk at a high level. We're going to go for contractors because they are going to it's going to be higher volume for us for the same amount of work that we would put in. We know we can connect with them. So
Yeah.
it's really understanding, who is, who do you like working with? What's your
Yeah.
best client?
Who do you make
You know?
money on? One of the tools that we talk about here is the end of job report,
Yes.
right? So people call it all sorts of different things, like you were just talking about with your tool there. But the end of job report is just a way to look back on a job and say, did we make money or lose money? What were the surprises? Would we do that job again and again and again all day? And if the answer is yes, then go find more people who look like that job in that neighborhood. You know, uh, we come up with complicated definitions, and then my clients come up with really easy ones. One of my guys said to me, I just want after coaching, he's like, I just want to work houses and golf course communities on the water. Okay,
Yes.
that's all he needs for a definition. even
Yes.
even from that, he could go to you, and let's use my direct mail example. He can say, I just want to send mail to golf course communities on the water. That's
Yes.
it.
It is easy. It is so easy. And sometimes we get a lot of pressure to, oh, you can't exclude anybody and you can't.
Sure you can.
You're not excluding anybody. All you're doing is being very clear
Hmm.
and having very clear messaging that signals the people who are looking for you. That's it. That's a service. If somebody outside of a golf course community
Hmm.
resonates with what you're saying, resonates with what's and contacts you and wants to work with you and you want to work with them, that's great. They will find you.
Yeah.
But really honing in on your customer, don't think about it as, like you're cutting off a lifeline or you're excluding a place where you could bring money. Think of it as I am going to be very clear and I'm going to communicate very well to the people that I most want to work with. That's all it
Yeah.
is. If we're trying to talk about, if we're just trying to talk to anybody, our message becomes really muted and it's hard to understand and nobody connects with us.
And then you just become Budget Kitchens anyway.
Yeah.
Budget Kitchens Incorporated. Hey, are you curious about ways to develop your foreman and make him or her into the best leader that your floor or install crew could ever have? Well, we've got something here for you. It's called the Foreman Development Self-Assessment and Career Planning Tool. It is a fantastic tool. It's being used by cabinet and millwork shops right now, and you can see it as well. Just send me a text message. My cell phone number is 315-903-7853, and just say Foreman Tool, and then I'll know which one to send you.
Ooh.
I find it funny, but I also understand it, how we get in our head and think, well, if I start to exclude people, the market's going to get too small and I'll never get any clients. But for everybody listening, I want you to think about how many projects you do a year. Did you do 100 projects last year? Okay. Did you do 48 projects last year? Did you do 36 projects? Let's just say you did 48 projects last year. Everybody can do the math from that. That's 4 a month. That's all you need. So you don't have to advertise to millions of people to get that. You only have capacity to do 48 jobs. Everybody knows this about me. I want to make sure they're taking the most profitable, juicy jobs. So you might as well go where the jobs are most profitablest and most juiciest.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's where it starts. That's where all the decision makings of your marketing go, is when you really dial down who you want to talk to, then they dictate everything else. Where are they hanging out? Where do they
Yeah.
show up? It's not like then you get away from, oh, this is trending. I have to do a dance on
Oh.
TikTok. No, are you people making buying decisions on TikTok?
If they're
Maybe.
watching me do stuff on TikTok, dancing on TikTok, they're never going to talk to me. It would be bad.
No. So
Do you know what
that's,
you mentioned something really cool there, which is horses. So you're in the equestrian community, right?
yes.
So one of our clients, so I have other coaches as well, and they all coaching different clients. One of our clients loves trade shows because they do great business off trade shows. The problem is there's not enough good trade shows a year.
Mm.
So once you go through trade show season, which is kind of the spring, after that, what are you going to wait 11 months for the next trade show season to come up? Well, you kind of do. And so we went back to recreate the trade show experience for them. And this is still under the marketing umbrella, but then horses come in. And so myself and the coach were talking about coaching this client. We're like, well, where does your right client hang out? And they're like, well, this is what our right client looks like. They drive this kind of car. They might have a horse, oh, they have a horse. So they hang out with other horsey people, the horsey set, right? Yeah. Well, what kind of shows do they go to? Well, they go to these, I don't even know the names of these gymkhanas or whatever, right? Why
Yeah.
don't you set up a booth there? Like, why not set up a booth there? Because somebody who's looking for a kitchen or for a custom, manufactured product is maybe not going to go to the trade show, but they're going to go to the horse show. And when they
Oh,
see you
yeah.
there, they'll be like, I'm here with my husband or my wife. We finally have 10 minutes together. Let's go look. And guess what?
Yeah.
Knocked it out of the park.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's really, you show up where they are. You want to know where we invest money with my metal manufacturing company in cowboy country?
Yeah, I do want to know.
We sponsor rodeos. We
Wow.
sponsor
Go
local
figure.
rodeos.
Yeah. Because your ideal buyer's there.
Yeah, because our contractors are going to rodeos. Their kids are in the rodeos. Their kids are in rodeo programs. And so our
Those are
biggest
tough
event,
kids. I love it.
yeah, we sponsor the kids' baseball, like we sponsor the schools. We have right now, one of my guys, I set up a program with our local high school, the technical arts program. So he goes and he teaches those kids how to measure for a roof,
Yeah.
for siding, how to order it, and how to install it. These kids, the kids of our contractors and the future contractors.
Yeah. And of
So you
course,
don't, yeah.
they go home and they say to their mom and dad at dinner, guess what I did today?
Oh, yeah.
And then the mom and dad go, we need a roof. Who did that? Yeah.
Yeah, or they're contractors and they say this is where we're going to buy our metal from. That's what's happened. We've gotten plenty of work from that. Just from,
Yeah.
and it's like that's also we want to be part of that. We want to be part of the community.
Can I tell you the secret that a lot of people don't want to say out loud and then you guide me through it?
Yes.
I don't want to advertise online. I don't like it. I don't get it. I've already spent a ton of money on Google and Facebook and Meta. Is it the only way for me to market?
It's not the only way for you to market,
Hmm.
but you have to think about where your customers are hanging out.
Okay.
And if you're going to market, you have to make sure that the message that you're saying within those ads is talking directly to them. It's not just where you show up, but it's what you're saying, right? So listen, Facebook is one of the most efficient ways to market. You
Mm-hmm.
have to spend at least probably $500 a month. So you need to make sure that you're at a spot where that can be in your budget. And also you're on a growth trajectory that can handle that. Like that's important to think about. Like the other key piece is what what's your business plan? What's your growth? What does that look like? And then we can build marketing to support that.
Hmm.
But if you are on a growth trajectory, maybe you are adding a team, you can take on a lot more projects. It's very helpful. But if you're just sending an ad that is very generic and doesn't talk to your right people, then it's going to be a waste of money. It's not just where you advertise, but it's how you talk and how you show up. That's why in-person events are so great because
Yeah.
people are meeting you directly. You know how to talk to them. You have to translate that feeling into your ads. When we do advertisements for this metal manufacturing company that I keep talking about, um, we talk to contractors. We say in the advertisements, we know contractors. I write it all. I write the script. I'm like very
Mm,
particular
okay.
about
Yeah.
it. Because I don't trust anybody else. This is my guys. I know them. But our ads are off the chart. Our click rates, everything is so much higher than industry standard. It's because everything that we do, it ties back to that customer. What do they
Right.
want and need?
Yeah. I learned something from a company called 1-800 Got Junk, which is a huge franchise company. Have you ever heard of them?
I have.
The trucks that come and haul your junk away. There's actually a bunch of brands underneath that company, and I think once a month they host or they have an open house where you can go in and watch their huddle. But what's really cool is they've named all of the people that are their brand. So let's say 1-800 Got Junk. It's Greg and Jenny got junk. Greg, Jenny. So in the office are pictures of Greg and Jenny, and they think about Greg and Jenny and they talk about Greg and Jenny. And when they make a marketing move, they think, will Greg and Jenny like this or will they not like this? When we say something on the phone, are we talking to Greg or are we talking to Jenny? What do they care about? What do they not care about? But that is marketing on purpose. Like they have it down to the
Mhm.
persona. I see you
Yeah.
smiling. I could see you smiling big. What did I just hit there?
I mean, that's exactly what it is. When we create brand personalities get very particular. You can name them, you can think about one person. We always say write to one person.
Hmm.
But I also go through like the archetypes. Like what is our brand's archetype? Are they an explorer? Are we kind of like a boss archetype? Are we like a sensitive archetype? What is your brand? What is your brand's personality?
Hmm.
Um, and then we go through and say, okay, how does that match with our customer? So what is our customer's personality? Because you can be thinking about two entities talking to each other and it's like two cyborgs who have no personality. But if you're thinking about my personal brand and my personal persona having a conversation,
Hmm.
then you can get so nuanced and so particular, and that is what's going to set you apart. The other thing is that the bar for the kind of like B2B marketing that you're being sold is on the floor.
Oh my God, it's so bad.
It's horrible.
No, that's good news though. It
It
because
is.
you don't have anybody to beat. There's no horse in the race.
Yeah,
You
it's
just have
so
to do a
easy.
decent job,
Hmm.
especially going after contractors, no offense. Well,
No,
nobody's marketing to them and
no.
nobody's doing it properly. And half the time, all they want is somebody to show up and shake hands and say hi and then
Yeah,
answer their call when they call back.
yeah.
And you got the
Help them
deal.
out a little bit.
Yeah.
It's so easy. Like right now, it's just so easy because you just have to treat them and talk to them like a person and not like you're a big time salesperson and here's some flashy stuff. Like they don't want that.
Yeah.
So it's so easy to make these tweaks if you just think about them beforehand. And what you're doing is building a relationship so that when things get rocky, if there's a downturn in the economy, or we know the building cycles, we know there's boom
Right.
and there's bust. If you spend the boom building up your relationships, your brand, people knowing who you are, they hear your name, they get a picture and a feeling right away. Then when, the market is a little leaner for us and they have their choice, they already know, they know, like, and trust you, and they're going to go. So that's really important to think about. And you can do it now. And you don't have, if there's no timeline, you can just do it bit by bit. You don't have to go from 0 to 60. You can just, you know, take on piece by piece so that when things get lean, your pipeline is still full and still flowing.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? Lean times will come. I hate to say it. And I'm not the media. The media likes to report negative news, and I don't buy into it because we're going to do what we do. But tell me some marketing mistakes you've seen people make. And obviously, we're not going to name names. But
No.
as you take us through this, Katie, I want people to ask themselves, are you making the same mistake? So what are some mistakes in marketing that you see companies doing? If you can throw cabinets and millwork in there somehow in your stories, it'd be great.
Well, I think what happens a lot, especially in, in these kind of like maker industries, is that we feel like we have to do marketing. And so we're just going to do something,
Hmm.
and there's nothing behind it, right? So people come in with tactics. They think that's where they start. I need to send a flyer, or I need a billboard, or I need to do social media advertising. But they don't ask themselves why.
Hmm.
So I think that's kind of like, I mean, they do. They say, I need more people, or this is what somebody told me to do. But it's not like, why do you want to do this particular tactic? So you have to come in. People don't realize that business goals and marketing are really tied hand in hand. Because if your goal, right, is to build your mill up and sell it,
Hmm.
that's a different marketing plan than if you want this to be a legacy business, a family business, something that gets passed down that's going to sustain. That's a different type of growth,
Right.
and that's a different focus. So you'll need different tactics to reach your goal. So I think that is kind of the number one, is not understanding that your business goal, your business plan should be dictating what your marketing plan is.
Hmm. It's really just again about being intentional about it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, it's too many times salespeople are coming through the door trying to sell you advertising, but that's not marketing.
No.
And I have to add, if you're just buying advertising and you're putting good leads, good opportunities into a broken funnel in your business, you're just wasting money. Oh, look at your
Yeah.
face again. You're just like, right? I mean, haven't you seen it where we've invested money in some sort of advertising, the phone starts ringing, but nobody answers the phone
Oh,
or
yeah.
nobody responds to the customer request, and it's just a waste.
Yeah. I actually just work with some builders, and they they manufacture tiny homes, and they were talked into this like documentary style advertising campaign,
Hmm.
national, and I said, well, that's great. But right now, the people that you're dealing with are very far down the funnel. They know a lot about the product, they know what they're looking for. And now you're going to get people who don't have that education. And how are
Hmm.
you going to educate them? They're going to see this program that you've paid for. You're going to get the ads that you've paid, or you're going to get the leads that you paid for. They're going to come calling, but you still have this very small skeleton team, and now you've got people that you're going to have to spend a whole lot of time with, or there's just nothing there to like help lead them to do their own
Hmm.
discovery. What's that plan in place? So we built that, I call it a nurture funnel. That's like a marketing $2 word, but it's really just like, how are we going to show up for these people without having to spend all day, every day of our time that we're trying to like do the thing that we started the business to do,
Yeah.
just talking to these people who are just maybe kicking our tires.
And that's where we waste a lot of time, right? As tire kickers.
Yeah.
So what I've picked up for you today is we need to be really specific about who we're marketing to. We have to be very
Hmm.
specific in how we're talking to them, and then double down on who we're talking to, who we're talking to, who we're talking to, and double down on what we're saying to them, what we're saying to them. That's essentially that's marketing. We have to be there when they're ready, and we have to be in front of them when they're ready to make that decision.
Yeah. And we have to speak to them like we know them.
Yeah. That's see, Montana's so nice. That's such a that's straight talk. I like straight talk because that's
Yeah.
exactly what you'd hear out of Montana, right? Talk to them like you know them. But you know what? It works the same everywhere. People will think, well, that's a Montana type of approach. You can do that in Chicago.
Oh yeah.
We do that here all around the world. You just talk to people like they're right across the table from you, because they are ultimately in this world. They're just normal human beings. And you end up getting the nicest clients when you just have real conversations.
It's true. I mean, everyone's looking for authenticity.
Mhm.
And people are skeptical. Like the cool thing about humans and working with humans is that they kind of get hip to the tricks. And so, you know, the tricks only work for so long, or you have to keep putting money in to get it back. But if you're just authentic,
You don't need
you don't
tricks.
have to lean on any kind of trick. You don't have to
Yeah.
change direction as fast.
Now you mentioned sponsoring kids jerseys for, what was it, softball or
Yeah, baseball
baseball,
or soccer camps.
rodeo camps. Those are some tough kids.
Yeah.
Those are tough kids. Um,
Yeah.
I refer to that as branding, because there's no call to action. There's
Yep.
no specific call to action. I'm just in the community, but that's that legitimate part as well, right?
Hmm.
And then that gives me the opportunity to market, or you obviously can't use pictures of kids in your marketing, but you want to say, hey, we sponsored such and such little league or the rodeos this weekend. If you get a chance to go down, you'll see that a bunch of the kids we sponsored. It's again just showing you're part of the community,
Hmm.
and that's what we need out there, is just being part of that community,
Yeah.
especially the community we serve, which in your case is contractors who go to rodeos.
Yes, for this particular client.
Yeah,
Yeah, everyone goes to the rodeo. We sponsor the shoot gate. So that's where the it opens and the broncs and the bulls come out. So
right.
our logo is right over the excitement.
Right over the great part. I'm sure every once in a while you have to go wipe it off because stuff happens. Stuff happens. But you know what? It's the same thing with this client that we were talking about. They go to the different equestrian events
Yeah.
because they could put up a booth and nobody expects to be talking about kitchen cabinets there, except that's when they finally have a chance to do it. So their guard is down. It's not like they're going to the home show and they're going to walk past 75 people selling hot tubs, 35
Hmm.
people selling kitchen cabinets, that one company that's always selling fudge, right?
Yeah.
You're going to go to a place where you're going to stand out and have real decent conversations with people who automatically qualify.
Yep.
Can I tell you the greatest horse story I ever heard?
Tell me.
So one of my old business partners, his daughter was rode, I don't know if it was hunters or jumpers. And
That's what I did growing
oh, is
up.
that what you did?
Growing up.
Yeah.
Yeah, in New
It,
Hampshire.
there's a difference in New Hampshire, and they ended up in Montana.
Oh yeah.
Wow. Okay.
That's pretty similar cultures. Live free or die.
Right. So I go, Brian, how much is one of these horses? And he goes, Dominic, you've asked the wrong question. The real question is, how much do you love your daughter? I'm like, wow. Okay. So I didn't realize that horses had that range and cost, and that,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
ever look into buying a racehorse.
No. Yeah. I'm not going to do it.
Although we would get them fairly cheaply off the track, and then we would train them
You,
to do other things other than run as fast as they can in a circle.
yeah. But when you were guiding, didn't you have like mountain ponies?
Yeah, we had a lot of quarter horses. I really like Mustangs because they're very sure-footed.
Right.
So you can just trust them to pick their way down. Well, and that's especially handy when you're not looking ahead, you're looking back.
Yeah. You want the horse to do its thing while you're doing your thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I got to be careful because we're not having a horse guiding podcast, but now I want to go horseback hunting. And now that's where my head is at after this
Yeah,
interview.
definitely.
Yeah. Actually, one of our clients is going to Northern Canada in Alberta in the foothills in November. And he's flying up from Dallas to do that. So it'd be interesting to see if he's on horseback for that hunt. That'd be really
Yeah.
cold in November.
Yeah, there's a lot of pack camps that happen around here. You can pack out, and then you can have like a spike camp where you're just based, and then you can get deeper into especially it's good for elk hunting because
Yeah.
they like to get so wily or goats. Goats, I mean, you're not going to take your horse up goat hunting where you're going to
No,
find the
but
goats.
it'll get you a good way there
It'll
and it'll help
get
you
you.
pack it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Now we're having a hunting podcast,
Yeah.
which I'm totally into doing. No problem. Well, and you're in Bozeman. Isn't that where Meat Eater's based?
Yep. Yep. We got Meat Eater. We got Onyx.
Oh, you've got all the, yeah, if I'm not listening to my podcast, which I do, yeah, sometimes I listen to my own show, but I listen to it for the technical parts. But otherwise, I'm pretty much just listening to Meat Eater all the time
Oh yeah, we love those guys.
and audiobooks. Yeah, I'm so boring. Well, Katie, thank you so much for being on the show. If somebody wants to find you in this big wide world, how do they do that?
Yeah, so you can go to my website, which is followthewildpath.com. You can send me an email, Katie, Katie, at followthewildpath.com. Or I'm on LinkedIn if that's your bag too, but you have to search Katie Smith Wild Path because there's like a million
There's
Katie
some other
Smith.
Katie. There's some other Katie Smiths.
Yes.
Some other Katie Smiths. All right. Well, thank you very much for being on the show. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it was so great. Fun conversation.
Yeah. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye. Well. I have to say thank you to Katie for being a guest on the show. It's so great to have her here talking about marketing. We got off on a different tangent than we normally do because we're talking about Montana. We're talking about horses and rodeo sponsorship. And I've got to ask you, have you taken a chance to go out and think about where your ideal client is and make sure that you're talking to them where they're at? If you haven't, you got to figure out your ideal client. And how do you do that? Well, you get the ideal client exercise from me. Just send me a text 315-903-7853. Say ideal customer exercise, ideal client exercise. We'll know which one to send you. It doesn't matter what the title is. Just say that ideal client thing and I'll know which one to send off. Until next episode, folks, thanks for checking in. We'll talk to you soon.